One of the places that you had wanted to talk about was Riverbend. Riverbend's a large apartment complex that was on the Chattahoochee River. There was one way in and one way out.
You could hear it. You could hear the sound of when you would get off of I-285 and get on the road that would take you in there. You could hear it long before you got there. You could hear and those are the days also when everyone had really big stereo systems. They had the big speakers and the turntables that were really, everyone was really decked out. And so you'd have this amazing noise coming out there. Occasionally there would be bands playing there too. There was this whole culture of free love and experimentation and liberation and excitement. And so I think all that stuff that was going on in the 60s really didn't end until the mid-70s anyway. The 60s didn't end until like 1974.
We had weekend parties that were weekend parties. They started when you got off work and they ended when you went back to work.
Thursday through Sunday, there would be something going on. There would be somebody, you'd go there and the doors would be open to somebody's apartment and there would be all you could drink, there would be illicit drugs, there would be women, there would be noise, and this would go on at all hours.
At that point, overbuilding had happened, and so apartment complexes began to look for specialized audiences. And so some advertised adults only, no children, and then some began to advertise for singles.
By the time I got back out of college, it used to be a lot of people from New York were exiting to move to California. California got crowded, so Atlanta became like, at that time, probably the hottest city in the country for young people to move.
On weekends especially, folks would float down the river and this would be a natural landing spot to stop.
I don't know how they counted it, but maybe 100,000 people or something.
Thousands.
Oh, yeah.
It had to be. Because you could just see in the pictures just people in rafts in just the little frame of the picture. And that was just one little snapshot of a small area, and people would get on the river at all times. So there was a constant flow of people going down the river.
So you had this attractive thing about Atlanta that you could go there, that it was a more moderate, permissive place, to some degree intentionally more moderate and permissive. There's that whole scene from the late 60s that was going on there. Music in the streets, the whole easy access to all sorts of drugs and a pretty good music scene. And so all those things conspired to sort of bring this young group of people who had ambition and wanted to come for the jobs and the excitement, to a place like Atlanta from all over the South.
Riverbend back then was known as the VD capital of the world, because back then the terminology was VD versus these days it's STI or STD or whatever.
I could see how they could come up with that just because of what was happening. But most of these people are pretty clean, and I don't really think it was that bad. It's just because of everything that happened, everything that was said about it, with the Playboy magazine article, naming it the #1 sex capital of the country. I didn't get it. I don't know anybody who got it. So
that time in my life was just so outstanding, so fun, so not like any other. I don't think there'll never be another time in history.